everybody, and Happy New Year. So it is now year 2024. Can you believe it? Oh my. And guess what? It is the Chinese New Year, year of the dragon. And at our school, we are what? We're dragons. So I could not miss this opportunity for us to make some amazing Chinese dragons in our kinder classes. So today we are going to learn how to make our very own Chinese New Year dragon and celebrate on the background of our paper with some gold fireworks. So come on, let's get started. All right, let's get started. We are going to draw our Chinese line dragon. So here you can see I have this cute little guy here. I have this Chinese dragon that I drew and I painted. I'm going to show you how I did that. So I want you to start by drawing a big S on your paper. So start at the top. Make sure you leave a little, you don't want the line to touch the top of your paper, but you want to fill up most of your paper. A big S. Okay. So I have a big S on my paper. And now I am going to draw the head at the top here. Your head can be a heart shape or a triangle shape. I did a heart shape on this one. You can kind of see how it curves out to the side. I'm gonna do a triangle shape, but I don't want it to be super straight. So I'm gonna add a little curve to my line. So you make your triangle or your heart how you want it to be. But it's a pretty nice size there. See how big it is compared to my hand? So you want to leave room for the eyes and the nose. So now my dragon needs some really big nostrils. So I'm going to draw a big C shape at the bottom of my head here, and on the other side a little backward C shape. And I'm going to turn these into nostrils. So I'm going to draw another little circle or C kind of shape down there also. And he needs some eyes. I'm gonna draw two big round eyes on my dragon, but you could do different types of eyes if you wanted to. You don't have to do the same eyes as me. You could add eyelashes if you want it to look really girly. And I want this to look like kind of like the snout. So I'm gonna draw from the inside of my eyes to the outside of my nose, a little line connecting them. Zoop, just like so. And Chinese dragons, a lot of the time they have little furry kind of eyebrows above their eyes. So if you want to add that, you can. That is up to you. I want to. I think that makes him look a little bit more Chinese dragon-like. So I'm going to add some little eyebrows, maybe some little zigzag lines there. And they usually have horns. So I'm going to add some nice big horns on each side. And now this is the body, that big S shape. So I have my S, that's the center of the body. I'm gonna draw a line about 1, 2, about the width of 2 of my fingers. 1, 2, I can fit like two in there. I'm gonna draw another S next to it, and I wanna keep it the same distance away. This is what we call parallel. This is a parallel line. It's an S running right next to the S you just drew, and at the end, it can come to a point. Now, we definitely need a little bit more details to it, so now we're gonna add the spikes. You can add triangle pointy spikes. Try to make them big so that they're easier to cut out. We're gonna cut this guy out later. Or you can make them round, so maybe more like a semicircle. So I'm going to draw a big semicircle. I want you to take your time and do one at a time and make them about the same size until you get to the end. You can do them smaller down at the end. Taking your time, because if you get into a rush, a lot of times this is what happens. That doesn't look like semicircles, right? That looks like kind of like a curvy, weighty line, kind of messy, sloppy. Take your time and do one at a time so that it looks really nice and neat and purposeful. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going all the way down the back of my dragon. Now, you can leave the end of your tail kind of plain here, or you can add a little extra pizzazz down here, give them more of a tail. So I'm gonna add kind of like a little bit of a spiky details on my tail, maybe add a little bit more there. Check out your work. Is there any pencil lines that need to be erased? I think I want to erase these lines on the inside of the face by the nostrils. Now I am ready to take some of my construction paper crayons. I choose these because they're brighter and softer, so they show up more. And I'm gonna add just a few details to my dragon. I am not coloring my dragon in. All this blue and yellow, that is paint. So I'm gonna color in maybe the eyebrows, maybe add some textured lines, maybe some lines, add some detail to my dragon, kind of like what I did here. So whatever color you want to use is fine. I am going to go with pink. This is a really pretty pink. I am going to add some lines going across just the little smooth part of my body. Press down so that you have a nice bold line. And then I am going to color in my eyebrows. Remember, we're not coloring in the whole dragon. We are only coloring in the tiny details and adding some little details to it to add a little pop of color. Right. And I want to add some lines across the snout. I'm going to take this kind of aqua or teal color. I'm going to color in my horns very carefully, nice and solid. If you're coloring in anything, make sure that it's really, really colored nicely. And then I would like to add a little bit more of this blue somewhere. So I think on the tail, it would look really good. And on my spikes, I'm gonna add some curved lines. If these were triangles, you could follow the triangle shape. Inside my eyes, I am going to color. If I wanted to stay white, I need to color it white. Because if I get paint on these, they're gonna turn whatever the paint color is unless I colored them in white. And then of course my pupils need to be what color? Black. And I think the inside of my nostrils should be black too. Okay, I think she is ready to be painted. So I have my paint here. Now, I do not want you to use the black or the brown. We want our dragon to be really nice and vibrant and colorful. So do not use black or brown, and do not use red because our background paper is going to be red. So we don't want our dragon to disappear on our paper. No red, no black, no brown. All right. I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to wet it and I'm gonna hold it like a pencil, and I wanna pick one color at a time. I think the yellow is gonna look really pretty on it. I'm gonna swirl it gently on top. I am not digging my paintbrush into the paint. So I wet it and I swirl it gently on top, and I'm going to paint gently, very softly. When I'm painting, I'm pretending my paintbrush is kind of like a little ballerina. Ballerinas dance on their what? Their tippy toes. So I want to make sure that my paintbrush is painting on its tippy toes, the very tip of the paintbrush. Never smash your paintbrush down. So now that my dragon is all dry, we need to outline everything we drew with a black oil pastel. So I'm going to very carefully trace all my pencil lines. If you drew it with pencil, it needs to be traced carefully with your black oil pastel. I'm going really slow and careful. If you go really fast, it's gonna be really sloppy and you're not gonna be able to outline it as nice. So go really slow and be careful not to rub your hands over it. It needs to dry. Pretend like it's paint. And there we have it. Once our background is dry, we can cut this out and glue it to our background. Okay, and here is the really fun, messy part, right? We are gonna make our background on some really pretty red paper, and we're gonna use some gold paint and a toilet paper roll. So I have cut the toilet paper roll to be frayed out, and we're gonna dip it in the gold paint and we're gonna make it look like gold fireworks. So we just had our New Year celebration here. I'm sure we saw all the beautiful gold fireworks in the sky. So you wanna make sure it gets on all the little fringe sticky outy parts, right? And then let's see what happens. Here we go. We're gonna stamp it down. Oh, that looks amazing. And I just want you to stamp it down. Get a little bit more when you need a little bit more. So we're gonna dip it in the paint again. They can overlap a little bit. We have so many beautiful gold fireworks in the sky. Look at that. If you want to, you can use your little fingers to tap down the little ends here. But be careful not to touch your clothes afterwards, right? Now when this dries, we can cut out our dragon and glue it down. So now I'm going to very carefully cut out my dragon so that I can glue it to my background. I am going to cut close to my dragon to make it easier to cut out and cut off all this extra paper. I want to cut really, really close to my dragon. I don't want to leave any white on the outside of my dragon. So I cut off all of this part. This is going to be a little more tricky to cut out. So if you cut off the extra paper, get it out of the way, it's going to be so much easier to cut out. Okay, now all I have to do is glue my dragon down. So I'm going to flip it over. And I want to add glue all over the back of it, close to the edge, but not on the edge, just little bitty dots or little bitty lines. No big globs. Dot, dot, not a lot. And I'm going to carefully flip it over. It's okay if it gets on your fingers. We can wash our hands later. I want to make sure it's in the middle of my paper and press it down. Make sure it's on there really good. And there we have our Chinese New Year dragon. I hope you had fun making your fun and colorful, festive Chinese New Year dragon.